It's time, my friends. Christmas is almost here, and I have 8 weeks, 8 different easy and unique DIY gifts that you can create that look expensive but are not. In today's video, I'm going to show you how to make these beautiful, inexpensive vases for either your home or to give as a gift for the holidays. Not only are they simple to create, but they are very inexpensive and just an overall fun thing to create. So get out those notepads and pencils and let's get started. Hello, my friend. Welcome back to another video. So before I start this week's video, I want to show you the results of last week's video and how beautiful this painting turned out. I resined it. It is just absolutely stunning. The colors that I used are just shimmering like there's no tomorrow. And that cell activator I created with that new recipe that I'm using worked wonderful. I did get a few comments regarding the bloom technique and whether or not this is considered the bloom technique. I just want to say, whether or not you're using your mouth to blow out the piece of art, it doesn't matter. It's the effect in the end that you're looking for, which is that extreme lacing. So yes, there are different variations to the bloom technique. It's not just blowing a flower out with your mouth. There's deconstructed blooms. There's bloom swipes like I did here. There's all different types of blooms. So just do your research and look around. This is definitely considered a bloom look. But yes, typically a bloom technique is done with house paints. I've come up with this recipe where you don't have to use house paints at all. My painting looks like I used them, but I did not. So check out those videos from the last 2 weeks. Alrighty, here we go. Today I have not only one, not two, but 3 vases to pour on. These vases, 2 of them, or should I say vase? I feel too fancy when I say vase. These vases, they come from, 2 of them come from Dollar Tree. I paid a whole $1.25 for this. And one of them I found on clearance at TJ Maxx for $3, and you'll be seeing that in a minute. The paints I'm going to be using for each vase are going to be different. This first vase, I'm using a combination of Artist Loft pre-mixed pouring paints, which I had left over, just a few colors like this metallic cobalt teal, and then the colors that I wanted to use that I didn't have in the pre-mixed, I got my Artist Loft pouring medium out and I thinned those colors down with a little bit of the Artist Loft pouring medium and some water. The exact ratios were 1 tablespoon of paint, 2 tablespoons of pouring medium, and then water to thin them the rest of the way. I will show you that consistency now. Look at this beautiful color. Look at that. Isn't that gorgeous? It's the metallic cobalt teal that Michaels sells. Pre-mixed, ready to pour paints. So you literally pour them out of the bottle onto your canvas, or in my case, I put them in individual cups, the colors I'm going to be using. But that is the consistency. Okay. And here's the thing, we're going to be doing an experiment. I'm going to show you the difference in look when it comes to using a paint that's thinned down with a pouring medium. On the second vase, we're going to do paints that are thinned down with American Floetrol. And then on a third vase, we're going to combine both the pouring medium paints and the American Floetrol paints and see what kind of effects we get. You're also going to notice I have a canvas here and the vase placed on top of a cup. Here's why. When we pour this paint, a lot of it is going to run off and you don't want to waste. So what's going to happen is it's going to drip onto the canvas and make a really pretty design. So you're actually able to create a matching picture to go with your vase to give as a gift. The reason for the cup is because after we pour the paint on the vase, we can't move the cup by picking, or the vase by picking it up. We're going to ruin the design. So we need something to grab it by to move it off of the canvas, you see? So that's why we want to put it on a cup. So I'm just going to move that back. What I'm going to do is give you a top down and a side view of this paint as it's pouring. And let me show you the color palette we're using first. So these are the paints that are mixed with the pouring medium. I have a beautiful copper by Amsterdam. I have a beautiful, I can never remember this name. I'm going to pop it up on the screen. It's by Pebeo. It's a metallic and it's gorgeous. Iridescent blue-green, maybe it's called. The gold is a pre-mixed pouring paint from Michaels, the Artist Loft brand. This brown is Amsterdam because they didn't have a brown. The blue is, I believe, Windsor blue because, again, they didn't have that shade of blue in the pre-mixed pouring paints. So for whichever ones that they didn't have, I ended up just mixing up my own, but with the Artist Loft pouring medium, which is the same pouring medium that they use in those pre-mixed pouring paints. And this is the metallic cobalt teal I just showed you, and this is a bronze, sorry. They both are pre-mixed pouring paints. Okay, so first thing I need to do is put paint in the cup. I'm going to need about 12 ounces of paint to cover this canvas. So that's how much paint I'm going to be pouring between the three vases. So people will ask, how much paint do you need to do that size vase? However much paint you're going to need to cover the canvas is your answer, because most of the paint runs off of the vase. It leaves a thin, nice, pretty layer for you, but it is going to run off a lot. So for an 18 by 18 like this, I'll use about 12 ounces of paint. And because I'm doing 3 vases, that means I'm going to use 4 ounces per vase. So this cup I'm about to fill up would need to have 4 ounces in it per vase. I ended up using 6 ounces per vase because I just like to have a little extra paint left over to play with. But yeah, you would only need 4. And we don't want to put a lot in of each color. We want to get multiple layers in the cup. So here we go. So you see, I just put a little bit in there. And I'll do multiple layers of it. Now, against that brown, I think the gold and then one of the teals will look beautiful. So there's multiple ways you could put the paint in the cup. You could let it slide down the side of the cup like I am here, so it layers on top of each other, each color. Or you could pour the colors into the cup from up high so that they churn together, and then when you pour them out, it'll make, the lines will be more blended, or the colors, I should say, will be more blended. Okay, so you can see that I have the vase a little off-centered, and that's on purpose. I'm going to do 3 of these, don't forget, and I don't want to have to keep pouring right in the middle. I want to have like a puddle over here, puddle over there, and maybe a puddle over there. So that's why it's a little off-center. But anyway, here we go. Look at that beautiful cup. That is gorgeous. Very gorgeous. So I'm just going to pour. Well, let's make sure the vase is straight first. And by the way, I just wiped this vase down with isopropyl alcohol. That's it. Just to clean it, okay? Before I started. It's hard to tell it's straight or not because it's on the canvas and the canvas is, wobbly. All right, so here we go. I'm just going to pour it over here while doing circular motions with my hand. Nice and slow. Just let it drizzle down. Look at that. Beautiful, beautiful color palette. Oh, that's classy. I'm going to stop for just a minute and let it kind of do its thing. So here's the sad news, folks. The paint never stays in this composition. It always drags down, and you end up with some lines in the finished vase, but it's very hard to get it to stay just the way it is right here. What I have done in the past, though, is I have poured over the vase, let it sit for like 30 minutes, and then I came back with a little tiny cup of paint and just poured a small puddle over the top of it. And there wasn't enough paint for it to drag all the way down to the bottom. And I ended up getting more lines that way. But this is one of those things where it's kind of a surprise when it's done drying. You end up with what you end up with. And if it's boring, then you do something else to zhuzh it up, which I'll talk to you about at the end when you see these dried. But yeah, it would be great if it stayed just like this, but it's gravity, it pulls it down. So now it's time to move this monstrosity. And let me tell you something. When the paint gets on your gloves and it's on that plastic cup, I cannot tell you how slippery it is. So instead of lifting and putting it elsewhere, I decided to slide it off the canvas. Also, be careful where you put your fingers by the bottom there because I did nick my lip of the vase 2 times and had to fix it. So now here's the second vase. The second vase, I'm using a similar color palette, but I'm adding more white in, so it's going to be much lighter. And I'm going to use this cute little sink strainer that my good friend Amy sent to me. She sent me a package of all these fun little gadgets, so I'm just trying them out here. Thank you so much, Amy, for all that you do for me and my channel. So I just poured the paints in the cup again, and now I'm doing a ring pour, but I'm doing the ring pour through the sink strainer, and you can see you get a whole different design. Very nice. Very sleek and sexy looking. So again, these are the paints that are thinned down with American Floetrol and water, same consistency. And again, I wish it would stay this strong, the composition, but it does pull down once again. But again, I'm going to work on that and see if we can find a way to get some tooth on that glass, something to grab onto. So that is the Floetrol result. And now for the last one, I have both paints mixed together in the cup. I have the pouring medium paints I layered in the cup, and I have the American Floetrol colors mixed into that cup. And look at that beautiful result. This tells me the next time I do an acrylic pour painting that I should use some paints mixed with American Floetrol and some mixed with pouring medium. Maybe we'll get some great designs on the canvas doing that. So once we get this poured over here, it's time to remove that vase and to get some canvas action going on. Time to tilt all that paint that's been pouring onto our canvas and see what it gives us. Over the next few weeks, I'm going to be designing some unique items for the holidays that you can give as gifts. So be sure to subscribe to my channel, click the notification bell, and make sure it's set on the word all. And don't forget to like the video and leave a comment below. I'd like to know, do you like to make handmade gifts and give them at the holidays? leave me a message in the comments section.
There's plenty of paint on this canvas for me just to tilt it and be done with it. But I have a little bit of leftover paint, and it's not enough to store in a whole bottle. So I'm going to just fling it on here and we're going to see what we come up with, okay? So let's just go with it. I mean, why not? Let's go right in the middle here. Or we'll go right here. I'm not very fond of this area. We'll go in multiple places. How about that? See what we end up with. All right. I'm going to give it a quick torch. And then we're going to start tilting.
So just take your time with it. Look at areas on the canvas that you may like to keep, and try to tilt the opposite direction to get the areas that you don't like off of the canvas. I was just kind of winging it with this one and kind of went buck wild, and you'll see where I ended up.
Going a little bit too fast here, but it's okay. Got a lot of wiggly lines. Very, very beautiful shimmery painting, I'll tell you that. Wow. Very, very pretty indeed. Once I give you a close-up shot, that metallic cobalt teal from Artist Loft is amazing, that color. Wow. It's a very pretty painting. It looked very beautiful on somebody's wall with a matching vase. If I can show you this without 8 million glares interrupting, it'll be great. But yeah, this is, I'll have to show you it out in the daylight. Look at this area. That's so pretty. You see that? It's like textured looking. Let's see if I shut this light off, if it'll help. I still have the white light, but that's okay. I love that area. So it's developing. We'll let it develop and see where it takes us from here, but very, very pretty painting. So anyway, my friends, we're going to let those vases dry, and then we'll be back. Or I'll be back. Hopefully you'll be back too. Don't leave. A blink of an eye for you. 4 days for me.
Let's take a look at the dry results of the vases. Okay, the reason why I have you outside showing you these is just to show you the finish on them, the natural finish when they dry. Using pouring medium, as I did on this vase for my colors, they dry very shiny, as you can see here. It looks like it already has a coat of varnish on it. So, very, very pretty. And once I get you in the house, you'll be able to see the design better. But that blue color is so gorgeous. Next up, we have the Floetrol paints that we made. This one, you could see it's a lot more dull looking. Now, what you can't see on video here is that this vase has a bunch of thin gold lines going through it, and it's really, really pretty. But there you could see the finish, how it's just a very matte looking finish to the Floetrol colors. And for the third one, it's kind of like a semi-gloss. It's not as glossy as the first one, and it's not as dull as the Floetrol mixture. And that is because we used both recipes in this pour here. So let me get you into the house and show you them a little bit better.
Okay, so here we are in a little better light. I just wanted to show you the shine out there, but you can see a lot of the color drips off, so I'm fine with this. It looks just like classy and elegant. But if you want more of your color, more of the design that you pour to stay on there, and you find that it drips off the first layer, what I usually do is I'll pour the first layer over the vase, cover the entire thing, let it do its dripping for like 15 minutes, and then I'll come back and do another one. It seems like that bottom layer starts to thicken up just enough to grab onto the second layer that you pour on top of it. So you could try that. What I do is when I pour over one of these vases and it's dry and the design is kind of drab, like this one here, like we just got this pretty little part in the front, but the rest of it is just like blue and streaked. You can do some mixed media on these and really zhuzh them up. Add a little bit of gold leafing. A long time ago, I did an acrylic pour over a lamp. The bottom of the lamp is a big glass vase. So I took it all apart and I was able to do some mixed media on it, and it was really, really pretty. So those are just a few options that you can do to something like this. I'm not going to do it for these. But yeah, just a couple of ideas for you. And then like even something like this that's pretty drab, you know, it's a classy looking just green and white vase now, but you could definitely go in there with some gold markers or even some crushed crystals and fill in just random areas. That would look gorgeous. So I wanted to show you how those dried. You have two choices. You can either varnish them to seal them, or you can use resin. If you have a cup turner to do those resin tumblers, you could make yourself an end for it that will fit inside of the vase, like a pool noodle, like a thicker pool noodle will work. I've taken an old rag and wrapped it around the end of my tumbler arm and then shoved the vase onto that, and it held it on there for me. So you got to kind of, you know, come up with ideas if the hole is bigger than the tumbler arm end is. But that's one thing you do with them. You could put it on the resin cup turner there and resin them and make them shiny. And yeah, the varnish that I use is just in a can. You can get a semi-gloss or a gloss varnish, or even a matte varnish for that matter. And give it a spray outside, let it dry. Come back about, 2 hours, 3 hours later, whatever the directions are on the can, and do another layer, and they'll be nice and glossy. But you could definitely see the difference between the paints that I used. Like this was the paints that were mixed with nothing but a pouring medium, and you can see how shiny it is, how it's shiny it dried. This one here was the Floetrol, and you can see how dull it dried, right? And then this one here was a combination of Floetrol colors and pouring medium colors, and it's kind of like a in between these two. Like this is the glossiest looking one, that's the matte looking one, and this is kind of in between. So yeah, they came out pretty simple. As for the painting is here. It's not totally dry yet, but it will be soon.
It's just a typical acrylic pour, very landscape looking, ocean, earthy, But yeah, it would go beautiful with the painting up on somebody's wall with the vase sitting right next to it. So, my friends, I want to thank you so very much for joining me. Again, coming up in the next 8 weeks, we're going to be making some really fun things. So make sure you are subscribed and you have your notification bell on. If you are interested in purchasing that painting that I showed you from last week at the beginning of the video, you can send me an email, artbytammy@yahoo.com, and I will get back to you. Make sure you check out the description for all the information about today's video, ways to contact me, ways to support the channel, and discounts on products that I love and personally use. And until next Sunday, 3:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, be well, I love you all, and happy pouring.